fight?
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
They ain't never seen nothing like this before. Lit the room when I came through the front door. Ask me if I stress overcome, what for? Train in the trees, please pardon my sycamore. Touch burning sands, cross lands, and stormy shore seasons in the year, yeah. Ain't no challenge for champions and chain no fear. Yeah,
all right. The champ is here right now. The champ is in the house right now. You are watching Paleocrat Diaries. I'm your host, Jeremiah Bannister. It's Wednesday. It's January 20th, and I've heard rumor that there's a whole bunch of deep state folks, a whole bunch of FBI and CIA and Antifa and BLM folks that are LARPing over in Washington, D.C. In fact, I have heard that there is a, president who's LARPing right now in Washington, D.C. I don't know. Have you guys seen the pictures, by the way, of that? Have you seen the weird? Is it not eerie a little bit to have, 200,000 flags? And the way that the media is talking about the lights and everything. They're like the arms that are embracing America. They're Biden's arms. They're the tentacles. It's weird, man. These are weird cultists. They've been waiting for this day. And you know what? They got it. They got it. I'm still waiting. I think there's a couple hours left for Q to pull through. There's a couple hours left, Q. You on the ball, Q? Dumb idiots. Look, I to this day, I've begged people, please stop sending me stuff like that. Don't send it to me. I think people are just at this point just poking like that. They're like, oh, check this out. I'm like, no. I don't want to check that out. In fact, we're going to talk a little bit about that today. We've got a great show for you. And we're going to have 20 minutes. It's going to be a long period of time. That gives me time to kind of see what's going on, check the news, do different things, walk around the house, do some exercises. I'll sit over in my gym over here, my gym in the basement at the house, in the studio, lifting some weights, bumping some iron. But I'm going to play a 20-minute clip. It's actually a whole bunch of different clips from the double feature that I did last night. I recorded late into the night. Okay, some folks know this. Some folks know it. They know I was recording late into the night. Because the thing is I had failed to do an unlisted video of reacting to comments. So I did 2 in 1. I did the last 2 episodes in 1. And I'm going to show 20 minutes worth. Normally it'd be 10. I'm going to show 20. Plus, as I said, gives me a chance to go around and check out what's going on. See all of the crazy and how much money we wasted. In really beefing up the police state that's now just in full swing. It's crazy. The left used to be the anti-police state. It was the left and the conspiracy folks and the libertarians, right? And so, they're kind of conspiracy folks too. And so, you lump those in. But a lot of people on the left, they were opposed to the deep state. They were opposed to war. They were opposed to, all of this stuff. And now it's like, dang, son. Never again, by the way. Never again will I take them seriously. Same thing with the establishment of the GOP. We're going to talk a lot about that. McConnell too. And even Trump. I almost asked if the management would name this episode Trump, get the F out of here. or F you, dude, go. It's, to be kind, okay? Voted for him, promoted him, spoke in public places for him, wore the red hat, got myself in tons of trouble, lost a bunch of friends, lost job opportunities, lost my job over that. All of this stuff, standing up in this powerful way. And just to see this, man, it's like, you know what? There's a proverb, isn't there, somewhere, not in the Bible, but a proverb that even good fish after a while goes bad. You know what I'm saying? And eventually you just got to tell them to hit the road, Jack. You got to say, get out of here, man. Get out of here. It was good while it lasted. And, it's actually a really great opportunity. And I've said this before. We're not riding the Trump train. It is one of the cars in that train. That's it. Because to me, it has been Christendom 2.0 the entire time. It's been Christendom 2.0. It's a vehicle. It's going to come and go. It's bigger than a guy. At the same time, that guy could strangle this. And look, it deflated a lot of people right now. And so I'm sorry if I am stepping on some toes of some folks. Some folks that are like, oh no, it's the greatest thing in the universe. You don't understand. It was our only hope. And I'm like, get out of the way, man, because we are marching forward. Period. End of story, son. I ain't messing around. We're crusaders here. We're crusaders here. We're not playing around. Good morning to all you guys. I love you. Right out of the gate, I'm pumped. I am pumped up for the show. All right, let's see here. Real quickly, we're let me get down to the small camera. I got to do that there we go. Small camera. Oh, look at that. Okay, I got a little guy right there. Little me. Look at little me right there. That's my mini me right there. Maybe one of these days I'm just gonna do both at the same time. And I'm like, dude, check out my little guy. Well, I gotta do that. All right. So here's the deal. Okay, during the show, we no longer engage in real time, except for the very beginning with the comments. So no matter where you are, YouTube, Facebook, if it works, it didn't work yesterday. I was ticked off. It didn't go onto my personal stream, my profile. It's just another shenanigan. That's shenanigan number 3 from Facebook with my profile in the last 4 days. So the last 4 days, that's what I've been dealing with. I didn't go there, but if you're on YouTube, if you are on Facebook, if you're on DLive, if you are on Twitch, I think Periscope, stuff like that, and you're watching the program live, you can comment. Because right now, today, we're on 17 different streams. We've actually made it smaller, but we're trying to focus on the ones that are the best, not the ones that are just kind of splattering it all over. We're trying to maximize where the show is making the most headway. So right now, we're on 17 different channels right now, on 5 different platforms. If you are commenting and you're like, man, there's not many people in this one, it's okay. As you can see, you've got people from all over. Like right now, it's just YouTube and Facebook. But I don't know which YouTube channel, and I don't know what Facebook channel and Facebook page these people are watching on. So they could be watching anywhere. If you comment on that, if you comment in the stream, we will not be talking about it throughout the show. But after the program, we have a thing called the post-show Q&A super show, where I go through and I highlight what are my favorite comments, ones that I'd like to talk about, and I give myself a good hour. I think yesterday, it came to like 55 minutes or something like that. Pretty much an hour last night of just hanging out, talking about it, going into detail, personal stories, but you have to find that exclusively at paleocratdiaries.com, and I've made one exception, and that is a Telegram. So I'm going to be sharing that video once it's uploaded to YouTube. I'm going to show you the clips first. So you're going to see the clips first right here, a couple of clips that are the teaser, and I've left some really great stuff out of the highlights, okay? So I call it highlights, but it's not necessarily. It's a teaser. So, okay. Going to say good morning, though, real quick. James Marone says Q is Boomer PSYOP. Dude, 110%. I had it somebody today, a supporter of the show. And I don't know what the reason is, if it's hopeful or what it is, but it was one of these things, man, where it's like, Copious Maximus. I was talking about the guy. It was a TikTok video of this guy, Boomer, and he's in his house, and he's like, man, he's like, I stumbled across this thing online. It says that, I'm in the military, and I know people in the military, and we're not there for Biden. We're there to arrest people, and all the chain of command, we're all in the know, blah, 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 blah. And the guy's like, yeah, it's going to work. And I'm like, oh my gosh, Copious Maximus, dude. Seriously, man, he's like all hopped up on hopium. Just totally blown out of his mind. We need a shame. By the way, the people who went with that, who are thought leaders, not the ones who are everyday folks. Those are the ones that we got to convince to tune into shows like this. Because this show right here, I did not lead you astray. I did not go down any of that road. Anything I said we have reason to be optimistic. At the same time, we have to fight like mad. You have to fight like hornets, man. Yeah, you have to. And that we might lose no matter how hard we fight. But that even if we lose, we win because Christ is in control. That's the message of this show. I'm not giving you puzzles. I'm not giving you word searches. A bunch of gobbledygook nonsense bullcrap. I'm not doing that. And I'm mad. I'll tell you what. if I ever find out, if we ever find out, and I assume we will, one day we're going to find out, man, I'm going to karate chop that punk in his neck. And I don't even think it's just one. I think it's an entire group, by the way. I think it's an entire group. And this whole nonsense, oh, Q was taking over. Bull crap, man. Bull crap. We can't tolerate it. You can tolerate the people who are part of it the same way you can a cult. You can say, look, I think that this friend of mine is involved in a wicked freaking cult. You know, I've had friends that are in real groups that I consider ragingly heretical, like way, way heretical, or their lives are really messed up, or they have political views that I'm just like, dude, really? You go down that road? That kind of a thing. At the same time, you know, I sit there and I say, you can be friends with them, but that doesn't mean you have to go, you know, you really do have a good point about there not being a Trinity. You don't have to do that. And you don't have to, you can say the people involved in that, there's a lot of people who watch that kind of stuff, and it gave them hope. It gave them hope. And most of them, to be honest, they feel helpless. So if they feel like something is in control, what upsets me about it all is that they put their hope in that, and they didn't put that hope in God. You need to, instead it was like, you know, in the model that we do here, and I'm sorry for going all political. No, screw that. It's January 20th. No apologies here. Here's the thing. You sit there and you say, in my model on this show, you trust that Christ is in control, that he's given you gifts and talents and placed you in a situation in space and time, made you for a moment like this, and that it is your responsibility to do the best with what you've got. That is your obligation in this world. And that's why you can hope, because there's a trajectory of the kingdom. That's my position. It is hope. It is action. It is belief that in providence, and at the same time in the responsibility that we have that is incumbent upon us because we have free will. Ain't that a thing? And Q was a cultic mix of somehow magically they're in control. It's all according to the plan, a master puppet machine. And at the same time, the people didn't have to do anything. I mean, they could if they wanted to. But it was like, keep trusting, man. Keep doing it, buddy. Buy the gear. Share the pose. Try to solve the puzzle. It's bull crap. Suicide watch now. No, here's the thing. I know some people were like, oh, finally, Q's going to go away. You know what? I don't know if Q will. All Q has to do? I've already seen it. Oh, now, you know what the plan is? Now, the plan is we had to get Trump out because now everything is in place. Just watch. Biden's going to think that he's in control, but we've put everybody in place. Dude, shove it up your rear end. Shove it up your rear. That's one false claim after another false claim after another failed promise. This is a false prophet. It's a false prophet. In the olden days, we'd stone that sucker to death. We would. We'd stone that sucker, man. This is like Nostradamus on steroids. It's offensive, man. It's offensive, dude. I hate this crap. I do. And you know what? It makes people, and you can't blame them. People work with these real quick heuristics, right? These snap judgments. They see somebody, for example, you see somebody with really long hair and a lip ring and some tattoos. You might think the person's maybe an artist or a musician or maybe a heroin junkie or something. Or me, years ago. No matter what, the quick judgment is that. Most of the time, the judgment wouldn't be the same as if you saw somebody in a ballerina outfit. In a tutu. Or if you saw somebody in a tuxedo or three-piece suit. Right? But maybe that person is a billionaire. There are dudes with super long hair and lip rings and tattoos that are multimillionaires. And not even because they're musicians or artists. So there's people don't understand that. At the same time, by and large, we work on categories and we make those snap decisions very, very quickly. We're pattern seekers. We recognize a pattern. I see a guy wearing a bolo tie, and I think maybe he has, a bad taste. in clothing. Like maybe he doesn't. Maybe it's all he had that day. I don't know. My snap judgment is that dude, maybe he's into, Walker, Texas Ranger, that sort of thing, MacGyver or whatever. I don't know. And so but you have these judgments. You have these judgments. That's what Q has done. That's what Q has done. Q has made it so that people will look at shows even like this, and they'll be like, oh, Jeremiah was talking about MAGA. Jeremiah was talking about right-wing populism. Jeremiah was talking about economic nationalism. They won't even care about that. They're going to lump it in, and I'm going to be like, I'm automatically on the defensive. Automatically. I run circles, by the way, around Q. I run circles around him, and anyone who watches this show knows it. It's a demonstrable fact. I run circles. That's a LARP, man. That's somebody playing, peekaboo, going in and looking online to find esoteric junk and then reframing and rewording it and slapping it out there. What a joke, man. And it's sick because knowing that there are people who are going to gobble that thing up, man, because they're hopeless, because they're afraid, and because they are no longer convinced in the providence of God. They're no longer convinced that God gave them gifts and talents to use. They no longer believe that God put them in this place for this exact same time, and they've given it all to man. They trust in chariots and freaking horsemen, and they get what they deserve. They get what they deserve. And for me, zero pity. Zero. You can cue that one. All right, enough of that. Good morning. Good morning, Jeremiah. No stress, but I'm super duper expecting an amazing show today. You are going to get it. You're going to get it, okay? The left arm of the beast is taking over from the right. Let's do this, pack. Ow! Come on. That's what we're going to do. We're going to rock out. By the way, I really hope there's a certain somebody that I mentioned in one of the clips a while back. I won't even say the name anymore because I really do believe that this person is not watching the show anymore because of it. I thought I was having fun. Not having fun at a person's expense. I even said, I love you. I'm so glad to see you. I was praising this person, and I thought it was comedic and making it obvious. At times when I'm dealing with the comments, there's going to be disagreements, right? Like I in this one, I talk about something. Me and Bethany, we've had a couple disagreements. She's wrong on a couple things, like cranberry sauce in cans. She doesn't think that's authentic. She doesn't think that that's the homemade way of doing it. That's the way that it ought to be done. She's wrong, right? She's wrong about that. I think there's one other thing where we had a disagreement. She's like, no, kind of thing. And so that happens, right? But, I got to talk to you. There's a segment in there. It's fun though. And you got to listen to it the end. You're not going to leave. You're literally, and I've said this to other people. I said, she is by far our most enthusiastic supporter, by far. There's not even a debate over if someone said, who's your number one fan? Who is the number one fan of Paleocrat Diaries in all of the world? And I'd say, oh yeah, Bethany. No doubt. So let's do this. All right. We're going to have fun. Michael says, kick rocks, Trump, beat it. We got a fight on our hands. With or without you, we will never accept the anti-God party. You fooled us, but you'll never fool God. It's one of those things I saw yesterday when I saw Trump Jr. get up and him and his wife, the best is yet to come. And I'm like, dude, this is a branding maneuver. It's a branding maneuver. These people, he's acting. The idea of the best is yet to come, they're literally, I'm sorry, you are lying to our face. You are leaving this with the idea that it was stolen, with the idea that it was an international collusion, with the idea that your supporters have had people in high-ranking positions associated with you and your lawyers who have said things that are so outstanding that if they were even partially true, it would be mind-numbing to the point where people would go to the streets with fire and pitchforks, at bare minimum. And in a world where now not only is the Capitol taken over, not only is there military everywhere swarming that thing, but on top of that, you have a place where before we were just wrong. We were just xenophobes and bigots. We were just, anti-feminists. They had all different phrases. Now they call us domestic enemies. They call us domestic terrorists. They say that we need to go to these deprogramming camps. The best is yet to come, my rear end. My rear end. Coming back in one form or another. Don't have time. Don't have time for that. Don't have time even for the idea of building another party and trying to come back in 4 years. Not even playing that game. I don't think he would even win. I don't think you'd win after 4 years. It would depend on what he would do. And if you're building up a party, what are you going to do? It's a one-man show at that point. And you know, the main strength that he had, and I said this on the show with Dogma Debate, people should listen to that. If they haven't heard me on Dogma Debate talk about my reasons for voting for Donald Trump and on Meaning of Catholic, my reasons for voting for him, I talked about how some of his strengths that are necessary for the moment, right, there's utility to those come with a price tag. One of those things is that he is very self-centered. We see this in the way that he takes everything so personal, and in that the idea of presenting himself as a strongman. But I'll tell you what, this wasn't a strongman. You want to talk about a strongman? This is a weird thing. You want to talk about strongman? You know, talk about Dementia Joe. Look at what they've done to the Capitol. Holy cow! Donald Trump sacks his own people. Sacks his own people. I saw a picture today of one of the early meetings. You got Reince Priebus there. You've got General Flynn there. You've got Bannon there. You've got Pence there. And I sat there and I said, look at the people in that room and say that right there, it's iconic, because look at the people that got totally jacked. Look at the people that got sacked. Look at the people that got run over. Look at the people that stuck around. Look at the people who had an outstanding influence, not on the campaign, but on the way that the administration would operate from day one. It's a weakness. It's a strength and a weakness. You know? And so that's just the way it is. So I'm not, look, people can say, well, man, you're not sounding very hopeful, because I don't put my hope in a guy. If you don't think that I'm a hopeful, you know nothing about what I say concerning the trajectory of the kingdom and the advancement of the kingdom by subjecting all things, great and small, under the authority of Christ the King. You have no clue. You have no clue. I'm not talking about making America great again. I'm talking about making Christendom great again. I'm going old school, man. I'm going old school. I've been old school the whole time. All right, let's see. Your train cart analogy makes a lot of sense, dude. Thank you. I appreciate that. It's true. It's a vehicle. If that's it, then we're at a dead end, guys. If people put their hope in chariots and horsemen, this is what I'm saying. Trump is a horseman on a chariot. I do not put my hope in the chariots and their horsemen. I do not do it. Because if you did, you would see this and be like, well, all hope is lost. Oh, crap. And what are we going to do? Well, maybe we're going to wait till, how old would he be, man? How old would he be? 2024. You know what kind of havoc? And that's why I'm saying the idea, and you'll understand when I bring up the video from last night, to sit there and say, you don't even understand when people are like, well, we just need to get back to the Constitution or the founding principles and stuff. You sit there and you go, dude, we have 40 years of this, by the way. The idea, look at the way it works. Look at the way it has always operated. You go forward, a little bit back. You go real forward, you go a little bit back. You go real forward, you go a little bit back. There's a continuity here. There's a continuity. And the tentacles have spread so far. They've spread so far and on the same principle. You would have to argue repeatedly, one after another, where you're trying to clip the fruit. This policy's bad. This one's not good. The extension of that, you say, man, how far is it extended? How many decisions were based on that? Are we going to go through all those things? At some point, you sit there and you go, look, the fruit is bad. The fruit is bad. Everything's got a life cycle. Everything's got a life cycle. You know the one thing that doesn't? There's one thing in this world that does not. It's not the Constitution. It's not the Magna Carta. It's not the Declaration of Independence. It's not the UN and their rights, human right stuff. Nothing like that. One thing. His kingdom will have no end. His kingdom will have no end. That's it. You don't put your hope in parchment. Don't do it. Don't do it. That ink will fade. It will tear apart. It will crumble up. And like every other model, every single one. And look at all the models that have failed. Look at each of those. Look at the 8 high cultures other than ours. I think are we the 9th one? Look at all the different high cultures. Look at how they begin in all of history. Look at how they ascend. Look at how they start to break apart. Look at how they start to balkanize inside. Competing factions. Look at how they start to go down. Look at the group inside that's trying to get back to the beginning, and then look at how it moves forward. It's not new. None of this is new. And we're in the death throes. It's a perfect time, in fact, for Christendom 2.0. It is. Because it is. We'll talk about it, so don't worry about it. All right. Let's see. I'm through Paleocrat and YouTube. I know where to find you. Good. Ailey's in the comments. Great. Very, very glad to see that. What are you doing this? I thought I was supposed to be a Christian page. It is Guadalupe. It is Guadalupe. It is a Christian page. We're talking about Christendom 2.0. I don't know. I don't think I can take this. Sorry. I got to take you off. God is not about this. I don't see it. And you have a bad mouth. You're the person I think that was like, God, the church isn't supposed to be in politics. Derpy derp. I owned you before, Guadalupe. Get out. You don't need to subscribe. There, you know how many channels there are in the world? I don't lose 1 second of sleep over this. I need to get out of this. I want my rosary back and prayers. Those are actually on. You know how many channels there are? You know how many channels there are about that? And we talk about rosaries. We talk about prayer. We talk about the centrality of that, the essential nature of all of that. Yeah, but look, if you want to be a nun, be a nun. If you want to be a hermit, hermitess, be, whatever. Is there hermitesses? Be one of those. If you want to be a recluse who goes down and hides your gifts and talents, or maybe your gifts and talents are just to hide. Maybe that's what it is. You're the hear no evil, see no evil, me no look into the world. I don't want to see any of this. Just give me my technology. I want to see religious stuff through technology because that's what the church is all about. And you got to think better. I don't. And look, I'm so sorry to be rude about it, but we don't have time because you and your freedom to even do that at all is going to be largely contingent upon the type of people who have discussions like these on this show. So you're welcome. I don't play footsies with people, man. David says, what the heck is a Q? Bro, you don't know what QAnon is? I ain't even going to go into all that, man. I ain't even going to go into all that. It's a LARPer. It's an anon, right? It's an anonymous posting this gobbledygook nonsense that people have figured out, like, oh man, I think this person's really close to the inside, maybe a general, maybe Trump, maybe one of his staff, and he's leaking out a bunch of information, but some of it's mixed in with nonsense and gobbledygook, and we got to have special eyeglasses so that we can decode it, and then we're going to make businesses out of it and business models out of it and share it with everybody so that they can know the secret messages that I'm getting from Trump. It's a joke, dude. Oh. And it's a foil. Let's see here. It is offensive. People have hope and may follow because they want good, but Q gave false claims, solve puzzles, playing with people, emotions, and their faith. Yeah, totally. See, you need to go away. It's not a place for politics. I thought you were the Rosary and Prayer Site page. I don't know what page you're on, and I don't make the decisions for that. I'm going to ignore anything else for you. Why are you even still around? Can you guys imagine for a moment anybody, and this is a serious thing. This is a serious moment. We got to focus on Guadalupe. So can you guys imagine a show like mine where you're into it and you do this every day and you got a bunch of followers and people tuning in and somebody's like, look, you shouldn't be on this page. I don't like what you're saying. And I would go, okay, and tell everybody, sorry guys, I guess I'm going to go off for the day because Guadalupe doesn't think I should be here. No offense, but holy cow. What is wrong with you? I don't mean to be rude, but grow up. Grow up. And if it's on a site that you don't want it on the site, that's okay. I don't even know what site you're on. I have no clue. And I don't make that decision anyway. So I'm really sorry about that. But I can promise Holy Faith Media, they've got other talk shows too. Other talk shows like mine. Not exactly, but like mine. All right, let's see here. All right, we're going to move on. We got to move on, guys. We got to move on. So, okay, here we go. Let's go back to the news. Real quick, you got to make sure, go check me out on Telegram. I've made the decision, guys. I've made the decision that I'm going to begin doing some social media stuff. I have the Paleocrat Diaries Wolfpack chat. That is going to be a little bit of the behind-the-scenes stuff, okay? Because that's going to be for people who really want to follow a lot of the things that I'm sharing. Because I have another one, too, called the Info Dump. It's set to private, though. So nobody can get in there. There's no subscribers. But it's an info dump. There's just me putting as many documentaries and stuff that I'd be interested in, memes, stories, screenshots, stuff like that, thoughts, whatnot. And so that's there. But Paleocrat Diaries Wolfpack chat is kind of a background. So I'm going to take stuff from the info dump and I'm going to put it into some of it, the best, what I like, put it into the Wolfpack chat, and stuff from there, from the Wolfpack chat, will be put into Paleocrat Diaries. So if you want to join the chat with the Wolfpack, it's small. We just started, but make sure to go check that out. If you have Telegram, and you can tell by my face there, right? Things are not all right. And then the Paleocrat Diaries, that's me as a young lad. That's me as a little guy. So, all right, real quick, make sure to go check out paleocratdiaries.com. You can see the store. We have cups of all different shapes and sizes, different logos and slogans and pictures. And that's not even all of them there. You can get the jumbo, the espresso, and the bone china mug. All of the product details are all available there as well. And, of course, we have these. These are a little bit newer. We had somebody recently purchase 3 different sweaters. There were 3 sales, right? Or there was 3 sweaters that have been sold so far. And we're really excited about it. I don't know which ones. I've just been told there were 3 sweaters that are gone now. And you can get them in all different colors, shapes, sizes, cuts, all of that, men, women, business-like sweaters for athletic gear, as well as magnets and keychains, even stickers. And so stickers and I think pins and all that. So it's got all different stuff, including, of course, the original logo, the war cry is what I call it. The war cry logo, the one where I'm screaming into the microphone, the newer one, that's also available. And of course, the special edition Paleocrat Wolfpack drawing that was done by my son Ambrose. And it's got little Wolfie, little Wolfgang right there in the middle. He's in a little wolf outfit. And so you can go and you can find all of that over at paleocratdiaries.com. So, all right, on to the funny stuff. We got to keep moving. So here we go. Okay. When I see somebody disrespecting another person's pronouns, what? How is this funny? You killing me over here. Okay. This is rude. You guys are terrible. Okay, so this kid, the podcasters are going to be like, what is happening here? Well, here's what's happening. There's a really robust guy. And, I'll play the music in the background. Oh, man. Hold on. So, all right. So there's a guy. He's pretty portly. And he's really upset when I see somebody disrespecting another person's pronouns. And he's looking really angry, increasingly upset. And it's a TikTok. Oh, no! And then he's screaming and getting mad. And he picks up a freaking chair. And he throws it. The sound effect, boink, and laugh track. And he's, wait a second, is that a chick? You guys are rude, man. That's rude. The person looks like they're maybe 16 or 17. So I don't want to go on forever about that. Oh my gosh, you guys.
Try it on your head.
Okay, so a little kid's clubbing his dad in the head with his stick. He's got one of those hard hats, work helmet.
Come here. Just come here. I'll do it really soft. Come on.
Okay, kid's wearing one too.
Nice and soft. Ready? Stand a little bit closer.
Oh, dude, that is not a safe hard hat. That is not a safe hard hat, man. And by the way, Agnes Day, no, I do not agree with sedevacantism. No, I do not. I used to be one. I've talked about it on Meaning of Catholic and Alter. I normally don't engage with the comments, but I saw that. And so it's one of those that, yeah, in fact, I think I've still got some videos up at youtube.com/Paleocrat that I made years ago that have to do with some of the rationale I have. And it was early on in the apologetic defense against sedevacantism, because it was so new at the time, to be quite honest. I mean, it had been around for a while, but not as any kind of force to be reckoned with. The internet made that a little bit different, but no, I'm not. I'm not a sedevacantist. Otherwise, I would not be involved with Meaning of Catholic. And of course, I'm over there. So, all right. My boyfriend will not stop farting on my cat. Why? For one, that is really terrible, dude. I'm a cat guy, remember? Cat and a rabbit guy. I love dogs too, not gonna lie. It's been nice to have my dog down here. She chills behind me. She's been, chilling back there. I got a St. Bernard. Her name's Coco. But yesterday, she knocked over the green screen. Now, I wasn't recording or anything, but I came downstairs, made my green screens, knocked over some of my lamps, and I'm like, holy cow. So what happens when you've got, a dog that's almost as big as a cow? That's what happens. Okay, but the idea of somebody farting on a cat, boyfriend won't stop farting on my cat. My boyfriend and I live together. That's a sad thing, by the way. I don't encourage that. It's maybe one of the things that, you shouldn't be in a situation like that in the first place. And you've really not only put yourself in danger spiritually, and everything else, but also, your cat, apparently. I brought my cat with us to the new place, and he won't stop farting on her. It's gotten so bad to where whenever he feels like he needs to fart, he'll search for her so he can fart on her. Dude, you need to break up with this guy. You need to just leave him. If he's like walking around the house and thinking, like, looking for the cat, it's one thing if the cat is right next to him or something and he just kind of leans over and does that. It's already bad enough. But if he's searching the cat out, I mean, you got to drop that guy like he's hot, man. Like, for realsies. That guy's not for you. That guy's not for you, There's a lot of fish in the pond. There's like 7 billion people. And so, a lot of them are Muslims and Hindus and stuff like that, and secular atheists or multiculturalist, globalist weirdos, Satanists and stuff. You don't want that, pro-abortionist people. You don't want any of that. You want to stay away from that. But there's still a significant amount, even if you take the 1 billion, let's say 1.5 billion people who identify with Christianity, even if you took half of that, right, or even a quarter of that, I mean, that's a big pond. It's a big, big, big pond. And so, you got to expand. You got to stop living with your boyfriend, especially when your boyfriend is the kind of guy who farts on cats. I mean, it's just not. Why would I even read the rest of this? Right? Stop being mean to her. And he says that's just how he shows affection. Then he's the kind of guy who's going to give you a Dutch oven on your wedding night. And I'm telling you right now, that is a bad idea.
Hey, did you know that food has no moral value? So there's no such thing as a good or a bad food. They're all just calories and fuel for your body. So it's totally okay to try new things and to have treats. That being said, cherries are my favorite fruit, and when I saw these, I knew I had to try them. So
there's a lot going on with this lady, by the way. For the podcast audience, she's got like very Crayola yellow eyebrows, Crayola purple stuff on her eyes, eyelids. She's got Crayola yellow, Crayola pink hair.
I actually usually don't like Little Debbie's. They're
very, very
sweet,
portly. She's a very husky woman.
So it balances it out really well.
It balances it out.
Look at that. Nothing bad happened. I ate cake and I'm still deserving of love and respect. And
your ethics totally suck. Your dietary recommendations are lethal. What's wrong with you? I mean, obviously, look, we need to begin treating this like it's a drug. If people come around you and those people are hyper obese and those people are out of control, and look, I'm overweight. I'm working on it. I went to a party recently, a birthday party, and I wanted that freaking cake. And you want to know what? Didn't eat the cake. Not because I can't, but because I'm at a place where I know, look, I'm at a place where the way that I'm going about it, I said, look, I can have a cake in a month and a half. And if I need to have cake, every month, give me a break. I don't need that. I don't need pie. I don't need ice cream. Give me a break. You know, it's a good sweet snack every once in a while, but by the looks of it, I've made every once in a while pretty frequently. So I'm making a change. But to sit there and say, you know, food, there's no ethical nature to food. I mean, that's just, you know, nonsense. You know, you sit there and you say, okay, so number one, there's a reasonable debate to be had over whether or not drugs is food. Drugs are food. If you say, you know, are drugs food? There's a reasonable debate to be had. The same kind of reasonable debate that can be had as to whether or not soup is cereal or cereal is soup. And I know that sounds goofy, but that's a serious consideration. Same thing with the drugs. Especially when you're talking about things that are you know, consuming them, not just by smoking them, you know, not just by smoking them, but by, you know, eating them and things like that. You know, different ways of taking drugs. And so you say, is eating magic mushrooms, is that, or is there any kind of ethical consideration to be had with eating a hallucinogenic mushroom? Probably yes. In fact, yeah, I'm quite certain. I'm quite certain that's the case. So this lady's ethical guideline, I'd sit there and say, you know, what is your ethical standard? Money Down says that she doesn't even know what she's talking about. She's just simply making an excuse to TikTok it up and to be super duper husky and to make it like that's something that is a thing to be proud of, and encouraging other people to go down that same road to give her self-validation. She reveals at the end, yeah, and I have, you know, I haven't diminished any of my reason to be respected. She's a libertine. She's a libertine, man. Her ethics suck. They do. Let's see. Oh, okay. What's up with all of the fat shame crap today? Triceps, when your triceps are built from your love of fries. I'm loving it. Dude, yes. You know, you guys got to work on that. Oh, you got to work on it, man. All right. I'm not going to do any more of this fat shame stuff, man. Not going to do any more of it, dude, you guys. It is really bad. It is really, really, really terrible. So, okay, we're going to go right now. We're going to go right now back to the main. Back to the main. Let's, and oh no. I gotta take this window capture off. There we go. Got to take the window capture off. And we're going to go ahead real quickly. I'm going to play the promo. You guys go ahead and get your coffee ready. As soon as you do that, we're going to do the Wolfpack song. So in about a minute and a half, we're going to do the Wolfpack song. Get everybody pumped up. Raise our glass to the sky. By the way, you got to watch because I have changed the wording. I've changed the wording and I capitalized it. I said, you got to do it. You got to make it that. You know, so there's no confusion because I'm sick and tired of people being like, you know, oh, you're doing something that's really bizarre, howling at the sun. I'm like, oh my gosh. So look, changed it to say, look, that's the way it is. I know there'll be people who are like, oh, you know what? The fact that he changed it is proof. It's proof that he's trying to get you to be a bad guy. Blah. No, but it changed it. So you got to get ready. We're going to play this, do the Wolfpack song. As soon as we're done with that Wolfpack song, we're going to go ahead and we are going to play the 20-minute segment. It's a highlight clip. It's a teaser reel of the post-show Q&A Super Show. So we'll be back with more Paleocrat Diaries in just a moment.
Love this video? What a coincidence! I do too! Now head on over to PaleocratDiaries.com for more videos, blogs, book and movie reviews, even Team Tiny Dancer stuff. And don't forget to check out our new members and services pages. It's how I pay for my kids to attend Catholic school. Until next time, Memento Mori.
All right, you got to get that coffee ready right now. You better be getting it ready right now. I don't care if it's coffee. I don't care if it's pop. I don't care today, man, if it's booze. I don't even care. Whatever it is, man. Don't drink to excess. Don't drink to excess. But if you're seeing a little bit shiny, you know, to the point where maybe Joe Biden is looking a little bit healthy, a little bit less like he's got Parkinson's, you know, or, you know, Kamala Harris doesn't look quite like the Joker anymore, that kind of a thing, then that's okay. But you don't want to get, you know, super messed up with all of that. And so no matter what it is, you got to raise it high because today is a very special day. Today is a very special day. It is the launch. It is where we've departed from one paradigm, from one phase to the next. And there will be competing views in this next phase. And in fact, some of it may involve letting go of the car that was connected to the train and saying that train that was presenting itself as a self-sufficient train was never a self-sufficient train. It was one of the cars of the train. That's all it was. And we're able to say, look, we're at a pit stop. There's a lot of stuff going on. We're at the train station. Unhook that bad boy and park it. It was great while it lasted, a party inside, but all of it is used up. And now we got to go forward. Super steam engine. We've got to do it. Hardcore, pedal to the metal, high octane, because these competing views are going to happen inside of the right, and it's going to be a Thunderdome. It's going to be a Thunderdome. You're going to have people competing, the establishment Republicans, the libertarian Republicans, the paleoconservative Republicans, the Christendom Republicans, or the Christendom conservatives. You're going to have those people, the traditionalists. You're going to have all of them. The integralists. Those who believe in the Catholic Imperium, Christendom, Western civilization models, all of these different groups, they are going to be vying for this. Vying for influence, if not political power. And at this point, it's survival. It's survival. So people are going to be scrambling like mad. And you know what? I'm part of that. I'm part of that. I ain't here to play footsies with people. There's no tiddlywinks here. We ain't playing pickup sticks with our butt cheeks here. We're fighting hardcore. We've got God on our side. It ain't no joke. I don't even have to pretend with that. I'm not like one of those who's like using that as some kind of mechanism to get the people to vote for him, and all the while humping a bunch of kids and going to satanic seance crap. Heck no. Those are the enemy. They've got to go. Take them down. Take them down. Raise that cross high. Because Christ is king. And we do this every day on the show. So no matter where you are, and look, the Thunderdome here, there's people of different perspectives that tune into the show. But we have one thing in common. And that is that we see within one another that we are created in the likeness and image of God. And we are in a world where we live and move and have our being in that world by his design. That we are beautifully and wonderfully made. And that we've been given gifts and talents placed in a certain place in time and space. Set in an environment where there are going to be experiences and encounters, and that we were made for moments just like this. Not just the big ones, the little ones too. And I'm not just talking instances. I'm talking people. The Johnny Q and the Sally Sue, they tune into the show. The people of Flyover Country on Main Street, because when they watch this show, and you'll see it in the segment coming up, you're going to see it where people emailed and talk about what this show has done for them. These are average folks, empowered, educated, enlightened, inspired, you name it, across the board, seeing it and being joyous. And why are they joyous? Because they've realized how simple it is. Even and especially in the hardest time, because all you got to do is be you and do the best with what God gave you. And we do that here by resolving these four things, technically. We take a knee for Jesus Christ every day. That's a given. That's a given. We take a knee for Jesus Christ and him alone. But we resolve deep in our heart to never give up, to keep on smiling, and to memento mori, to remember death, so that we give every single moment of every single day everything we've got for him, because he saved us. And he is renewing the natural order through us. And the stuff that we say, the stuff that we think, the stuff that we do actually matters in a way that you may not understand and I may not understand, that is well beyond the moment, maybe even well beyond our lives. And we do that right here. So dance, guys. Jam out. Today, more than any other day. Yeah. Jam out. Give it everything you got. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Look at all those people around you. Look at them. Look where they are and say, why am I afraid? I'm not going to be afraid anymore. Starting now. son. Yeah, come on. I want you to be pumped. I want you to be psyched. We've only got started. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, God. Hallelujah. Man. Yeah, the little dude. The little dude. I love my little dude. So, all right, as I said, we are going to show this 20-minute clip. We're halfway through the show. Of course, remember, go to Paleocrat Diaries to learn more about the show, paleocratdiaries.com. Make sure to subscribe to us on as many platforms as you can. So I'm not telling you to go and start new platforms or anything, not saying if you don't have a D-Live, you don't have a D-Live. If you don't have, if you don't have a Twitch, sorry about that. I drank that coffee. I'm like, whoa. If you don't have a Twitch, you don't have a Twitch. Whatever. Periscope, I think that's going away anyway. It's going away soon. But no matter what, make sure to follow us at paleocratdiaries.com because social media, the kind of stuff that we're saying here and the kind of stuff that we are going to be saying in the new world that we're entering into and all of that, it's going to get pretty rough. And so you got to make sure that you know where we are at any given time and that you stay connected with the wolf pack. Okay? And so we got to do it. We got to. If you love the show, of course, you can subscribe. That way you're updated every time we post a new update. We do not spam you. We do not share your information. I don't share a single thing. I don't go and say, oh, well, here's the email or, oh, we're gonna give it to sponsors. No. We don't do that because we rely on you. Because if we rely on you, then we are able to have the maximum amount of freedom to say what we believe to be true, what we think to be just, and what we think to be beautiful, in fact. And that's perfect. I won't have it any other way. I'm not going to be beholden to people who give you the money and then threaten to pull it and you get nervous about it because your livelihood's down the toilet. I am putting myself into your hands. And I do this for my kids. And remember, 100% of our stuff, whether it's through the Zazzle store, whether it's no matter what it is, if it's through paypal.me/Paleocrat, if it's no matter where it is, 100% of that currently goes toward my kids' education. We'll reach a time where we surpass that amount. And when we do, we'll talk about that too. And I'll be very open and honest about it. Nothing to hide here. It's why it's my diaries. It's why it's my diaries. Here we go. This right here is a clip. It's actually a double header. Okay, so that's why it's longer. It's a double header, but we talk about some topics that are really good and covering some of the questions that were really great. It's a lot of fun. It got real deep, and there's a lot of stuff altogether. There's another 40 minutes that are not included in this highlight reel. So if you want to see that, I'm going to upload it after we're done with the show. We're going to go ahead. We're going to upload it as an unlisted video on YouTube and make it available over only to be found. The only place that this link is going to be found. I'm not sharing it on Facebook. I'm not sharing it there. I'm sharing it in places that I'm not worried about the powers that be coming down and pulling the rug out from under us. And that is our website, paleocratdiaries.com. We'll have the video. You can click on it. It will take you to YouTube still, but it's unlisted. Okay, so if you go to my channel, you won't see it. But if you go and you click on the blog, you'll be able to watch it right there. Okay, it's embedded, or you can click on it. It'll take you over. And the other place is Telegram. So if you're not following me on Telegram, you got to do that too. So, all right, here we go. Here are the highlight reels from last night's special edition of the post-show Q&A Super Show. That hits the spot. I'll tell you what hits the spot, though, even more than that, is that howl at the beginning of the show. I don't know if you caught that. It's Little Louie. In fact, it is the howl at the end of the Wolfpack song. I'm so glad to be with you. And I'm bummed. I got to apologize one more time. I apologized during the show earlier today. And if you missed the show, that's a bummer for you. It was a little deep, I got to admit. It was a little bit deep. And I know that I'm probably not making friends. But I apologized. I apologized because I'd been saying that I was going to do the post-show Q&A super show every single weekday, and I kind of lied. I made it almost. But today, I said I'm going to do it, and I'm going to actually get 2 days in one. I limited it down to 3 panels, so it's still 3 panels. We're going to get to as many as we possibly can. All right, David says parochial schools need to be free so parents can pull their kids out of public schools. I don't know if they could do it for free, right? There's no free lunch here. That'd be a really tough deal. It'd be a really tough deal to do. And if they did, it would have to be premised on a number of things. It would have to be almost exclusive to people who it's not really as much a job as it would be their ministry strictly. And they would have to be taken care of by the church. So the church would have to take care of them, kind of like a brother or sister or stuff like that, a priest. But if you have teachers, they're going to need some kind of funding. I mean, that would be their work. So they'd be doing that. Now, I'm with you all the way on saying that our schools need to come up with something. Our churches do. Because we're at a place where we can't even play with this anymore. I don't think that people can actually do an act of contrition and say that they are going to avoid the near occasion of sin and send their kids to public school. I don't know how you can do that. Not when you've got, all of the LGBTQ crap going on. You've got all the anti-white racist crap going on. You've got the Marxism going on. You've got all of this stuff, anti-religion, anti-tradition, anti-family, all of this stuff going on. And so I don't even know how you can say that is, a safe place at all for your children. I don't know how you can say that. There's a reason why we're guardians. It's one thing if an adult goes into a place. That's part of being an adult. You are your own guardian. You're going to find yourself in situations that aren't necessarily ideal. But these are children, and they're susceptible. They're more susceptible to various pressures than a lot of adults, and a lot of it because they're there for that very reason. They're there to learn so that they will mature into someone who would not be as susceptible to that kind of nonsense. And so you poison the well with it, and we got to figure out a way. How do we make sure that people who want to get their kids out of those hellholes, how do we make sure that they're going to be able to do that, especially if they don't have a lot of money? Because you're going to have a lot of that, especially right now with so many people who've lost their jobs due to the crackdown and lockdowns and quarantines and all of that to do with the government's reaction to COVID. All right, Brian Parker, there is a myriad of costs involved for us homeschool parents as well. Not as much as, say, a private school, but still significant. It's totally true. And part of that is labor intensive. I mean, at least with a private school, you're not the one teaching the kids. Whereas in a homeschool, you are the one. You're the one not only waking up with them and getting everything together, but you're also the one teaching them. Whether it's homeschooling, whether it's private schooling, the idea of getting your kid out of the hellhole known as public schools, it's something that I believe that churches need to really begin to take very seriously. Sadly, I'm kind of cynical on it. I don't think if we can go through COVID and the churches are not getting together trying to figure out how we can individually or collectively or whatever figure out a way to ensure that parishioners and that members, that they're not left out, in the streets with their family for no fault of their own, not a bad decision. No drug addiction, no alcohol addiction, no nothing. It has to do with government decisions regarding its response to COVID. And so, like my dad recently, he had to turn over his keys. Now he already lost a bunch of stuff to do with his business. I no longer am working for my dad as a private contractor, and so independent contractor. And the thing is, so that was already done. He already had to get rid of a bunch of people, but he was kind of bleeding out slowly, right? A bus here, another bus there, something over here. And he had that going for a while, and it went okay. But a couple of days ago, he called him. He was in tears, and he said, look, it's the worst day I've had in a long time. He said, I had to turn over the keys to the business. He doesn't have a business anymore. And the thing is that the church that he goes to, it's not even on their radar. It's not even on their radar. And that's why I was so mad. I swore. I was so mad. I swore on the show because I was talking to the pastors specifically, and I said, they haven't done crap. They haven't done anything. And there's consequences for it. And I have no pity, by the way. I have zero pity for those pastors. The road to hell will be paved with their skulls. David says, in the future, Satanism will be the norm for our society without anyone even knowing it, because it will be the norm unless we have a mighty intervention by God. Also in part because Satanism, as it's structured, people can go. They should go. They should go check out the platform for Satanism and be like, wow, that's kind of weird that Satanism is kind of like secular liberalism. I mean, it is. It's liberalism. And that idea, if you go back and you say, freedom of conscience, freedom of religion, you look at separation of church and state, you look at these ideas, freedom of press, okay? You look at those ideas and you say, all right, well, it's kind of an interesting thing because the Satanism by its platform kind of meshes really well with that, in fact. James says, love you, Jeremiah. No homo, of course. Thank you for that, dude. I'm really glad. I'd be worried, buddy. I'd be worried if you're like, hey, Jeremiah. I'd be like, oh, bro, I don't know. I don't know about that, dude. You got to go. But I'm really glad, man. I'm glad you love me. I'm glad you love the show. And it's always really an awesome thing when I see you in the comment section. You're one of those regulars. Love seeing you there, man. And always a good time. Let's see. Another comment. You always know when it's time for the pasture when the girls don't look at you when you walk in the room. I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know, bro. I wouldn't know. I mean, come on now. Yeah, right. They're always looking at me. They're like, oh, what's wrong with that guy? Look at his face. Oh, man. Okay, let's see. My recurring dream. We talked about that. We talked about the recurring dreams. Mine being a shark coming out of a faucet in this underground prison type thing. And I'm climbing atop a piano that's all rickety and terrible. And the water is going up higher and higher. And the shark fin's moving around to get me. And then I wake up and I'm terrified. And I've also got one that has to do with tornadoes. Right? It's a common theme in a lot of my dreams are tornadoes. And so, and trying to find a place for my family to hide, in fact. It's never just, I don't know if it's ever just me. I think the one where I was in the Space Needle, I think that was just me. But most of the time, it's my family. And so trying to find somewhere for them. And I'm sure that there's, I ought to really just investigate my own dreams. I enjoy reading about dreams and stuff like that. I enjoy that. And symbolism and all that. I got a really great book on symbolism. It's fantastic. And so, I don't know, I need to think about that more. In fact, I want to start doing this thing where you take a little notepad and as soon as you wake up right away, you write down your dream, or you just take, some kind of an audio recording device, your phone, whatever, and you just record it as much as you can possibly remember. And you put that down and then eventually into paper and stuff and try to think of like, try to spot the themes, try to spot the images, the colors, even things like that. And so I don't know, it's one of those things, the actions that are involved and to analyze those things. I think it'd be a fun exercise. See, Stephanie says that shark scare and the home colonoscopy have an abstract commonality. Probably. You're going all Freudian on me here. You're going to psychoanalyze me? You're going to put me in the chaise lounge? Is that what you're going to do, Stephanie? I'd be okay with that. And Rachel says, I love your attitude. I'm taking lessons. The super buff right arm. I am glad you are. And, you're not the only one who has said that. I've had other people talk about that. And, I'm glad because I know how hard it can be. I've been there. Okay. I've been, and even now, I mean, I howl. I howl at the sun. I talk about never giving up. I talk about keep on smiling. But I also talk about the fact that I lost a daughter. I talk about my brother's accident and stuff like that. My parents' divorce. The 8 years of being an atheist that I lived. And the experiences, my being homeless in the past. My being bipolar. And so there's a number of things that I understand. Okay. But that's also part of the reason why I work so hard. Saying, look, God, help happiness and help joy, help excitement and energy to just burst forth from my heart in a way that I don't understand, because the peace that God gives and the joy during difficult times is beyond my understanding as much as anybody else. So I say, I don't understand it, God. I don't understand how you do this, but create a new spirit in me, right? Create a clean heart in me. And in doing this, make it come to life, right? With the life that only Christ can give. And so really, really grateful for that. And I'm really grateful that it's helping. Jeremiah, this is your mission. You touch human hearts. You repair despair. I like that, by the way. I obviously don't know you personally, but I feel you, if that makes sense. I told you at the rally that you moved me, and you did, and I will be forever grateful for that. Peace and harmony to you and to your beautiful family. You know what? I appreciate it. I can't even tell you how much I appreciate that, because it's one of those things, you know, I wonder at times, am I doing what I should be doing? Why am I doing this? Well, I mean, in fact, I cried last week at the end of the episode. One of the episodes, I'm sitting there, a real heart to heart, wasn't it? Real heart to heart. That may have been when you were commenting, to sit there and say, you know, this is what I'm about. This is what I'm trying to do. This is my heart to you, and I hope I'm doing the right thing. And I'm listening to God to say, God, if I'm not doing the right thing, let me know. Let me know, because I don't want to do the wrong thing. Bethany says, the Bible and the Constitution, which is based on the Bible. We're going to talk. We're going to talk. Look, I don't want to dog it. I'm not saying it came from the pit of hell. You know, it's been a hallmark document in the history of mankind. There's no question about it. You know, but every governmental structure has a lifespan. Every single one. And my concern is this, and more than anything, more than the idea of replacing the Constitution, is the idea of who in the heck would even draft such a document. I mean, those men, for all of their faults that I mentioned earlier on the show, all of those men, we're talking Renaissance men. I mean, by modern standards, these guys, they were Renaissance men. Their level of learning and even experience, travel, stuff like that, I mean, just through the roof. And it was broad, okay? It was broad. It was forward thinking and yet present, understanding the spirit of their age, and also understanding classical literature. Also understanding that. And so a multi-talented people, extremely brilliant, typographical minds, right? And so who would those people be? And almost anybody that modern people would bring up, you know, most of them are just, you know, rabid in their scientism or their rationalism or their materialism. And to me, you know, that's dangerous to me. I'm like, dude, you know, if somebody can like Ted Cruz all day long, but I don't want Ted Cruz drafting a new constitution. No offense to Ted Cruz, but he's no Thomas Jefferson. You know, he's no Benjamin Franklin. He's no John Jay. That's just a fact. He's no John Jay. Who is our John Jay right now? Who is our Alexander Hamilton? Who would be the founders now? Who are those men? And do they really stack up? Do they really stack up? And so that, you know, no matter what that would turn out to be, right? Constitution 2.0, whatever. I think we're approaching that place whether we like it or not. Whether we like it or not, because even the conservatives have betrayed it. I actually believe them when they say that they're not going to overturn Roe v. Wade. Because to go back, the conservative impulse would say, if you go back and you undo that, then how far do those tentacles go? It would be a never-ending chaos at that point, because the bureaucracy is so massive, because the way the laws are fleshed out, because it's so gigantic. How would you possibly do it? And plus, even the people that were fighting for it gave up on it. You know? And so that kind of thing happens. So conservatives just like, you know, floating down the river. And they're saying, but we want to keep, you know, our lip service to the document. And I'm like, dude, at that point, for all intents and purposes, they view it as a rag. And so, yeah, you know, it sucks. Wouldn't it be great if we could be back? I'd rather have this discussion at a place where we're not on the verge of major paradigm shifts within the cultural death spiral that we're in, the civilizational death spiral. I mean, you know, so you look at it and say, I wish we were back there talking about this. That would be at least a reasonable discussion, and it wouldn't have the sense of urgency, you know. But I know that you, and I know that Adam, you know, Adam, you two are the patriots. You have to. In fact, I'd be let down if you didn't hold that position. And so, but at the same time, you know, I think that there's a reasonable discussion on the right, okay, on the right, that says, you know, that there's disagreements over this. In fact, I think one of the best criticisms of it ever came from Dr. Gary North. Dr. Gary North is a libertarian over at the Mises Institute. He writes over at LouRockwell.com. He provides, I think is it freebooks.com? Anyway, you look up Gary North free books, you can see all this stuff. But he has one of his books on there has to do with the Philadelphia conspiracy, and I need to do something about it because I'm reading right now. I'm reading, and look, I'm willing to hear what I think are some of the best arguments. As I said, I've read a number of them. Russell Kirk, okay, R.J. Rushdoony. Now I'm also reading, and I'm going to give this book away actually on the show, Catholic Republic, Why America Will Perish Without Rome. This is a defense of this. In fact, it's saying that the founders, for all of their rhetoric against Catholicism, in fact, were crypto-Catholics because they were relying on a view of natural law that only makes sense within the Catholic tradition. And so that's his argument. I'm willing to hear that. And I have commonality, but it would also be a point of disagreement too. Okay, I got this in an email. I checked out your podcast recently. Your upbeat attitude and cheerful demeanor are so rare in the Catholic sphere, very much needed in these times, filling a niche that would otherwise be left open. And by the way, very impressive semicolon. I like it, man. You do a semicolon like that, you're going to get, most definitely you're going to get a mention on here. Because I use them all the time. I love semicolons. I was teaching my daughter, she's in 4th grade. We were talking about the use of semicolons recently and how a lot of teachers, and I get it for the simplicity of it, they'll treat it as if, they're really strict about things like periods and commas. And I said, you do know that there's a lot more leeway with this, a lot more artistic styling with grammar than just that. And I said, the teachers will tell you you're wrong because they want you to learn what they call the basics. And I'm like, the basics though are what I'm telling you. Believe me. Believe me, you can make it look great because that looks great. And I appreciate it. I do. I appreciate it. I try every day to have that upbeat attitude, my cheerful demeanor. And is it sad, by the way, that it's rare in the Catholic sphere? That people are upbeat, that they're cheerful. I think so many of them are so serious all the time. And I get that a little bit. It's a personality thing too, especially in the Latin Mass universe and stuff. And I'm a quirky dude. I am, man. A buddy at church told me on Sunday, we were talking, and he goes, dude, he said, I saw your show last week. He said, man, I love it. He said, I didn't really know about it. And he said, I caught it recently. And he said, man, that camera, he said, it looks amazing. The green screen and all that. And he goes, it's a really cool thing. And I said, yeah. I said, I asked him, I said, did you watch the goofy stuff in the beginning? And I said, if you don't like that, because he's a political guy. And he goes, no, man. He said, you're just like a geek having a good time. You're a nerd having fun. You're just a nerd having fun. And I said, yes, man, I'm a book nerd. I'm a book nerd with some weird interest in like videos and topics and stuff that are really weird. I gave a list to a friend of mine recently laying out all the different topics that I'm actually interested in and that I watch videos on. And it's not what people would think. Well, maybe you're getting an idea from me, but that's why I don't, people are like, well, haven't you heard of this podcaster or this radio show? And I'm like, no. And then they show me and I'm like, well, it seems like a nice guy. I wish him the best, but I really don't have an interest in that. I'd have an interest maybe in interviewing him, maybe doing some organizing with him, but listening on the daily? No, man. No, I have too many books to read, too many documentaries to watch, stuff like that. Too many plays to read, too much music to play, too much poetry to write, that kind of stuff. And so that's the way it works. And so I admit it's a little bit weird, but it's also cool because you're right. It actually does fill a niche, doesn't it? And I'm just grateful that niche is there. And I'm grateful that there's an audience. And I'm grateful you reached out to me. That's an email, by the way, everybody. All right. I hope you enjoyed that, by the way. I hope you enjoyed that. There's my mini-me again. Look at that. Look at those cute, look at little cutie right there. Look at that guy. Ah, yeah, man. So look, if you liked that, if you enjoyed it, we have 40 more minutes of that. And we talk about a whole bunch of, you saw a lot of the comments on the screen. I think I went through, I probably read aloud and respond at shorter, greater lengths to probably 85 to 90% of the comments that you actually see on the screen. And I try to limit it to 3 panels. Okay, so there will be 3 panels that I go through, and then is the end. Okay, and that's the end of the show. And those are called the post-show Q&A Super Show, and you can find that exclusively at paleocratdiaries.com as well as Telegram. It'll be uploaded after the show today, that both the highlight reel and the The full one will be uploaded as well. The only place you can find it, because it'll be unlisted on YouTube, so you won't be able to see it there. But you have to go to the .com, paleocratdiaries.com, or you can go to Telegram and find me over there. So, all right, let's go ahead and switch out. We're going to go to the news. Got to go to the news. Of course, remember to check out our Zazzle page. You can check that out. And we still got people working on the website. It's going to be up, and I'm hoping that it'll be up and ready by the beginning of next week, so that we can, at the beginning of the week, talk about the updates that have been done, making it easier, right? Making it easier to follow the show, making it easier to subscribe, and even to become a member. I had one person who wanted to become a member, and they were trying to, but the way that it played out on their screen, basically these little icon things, vectors or whatever, were over top of the button. So he couldn't do it. I'm like, dude, go to your phone, do it on your phone, dude. Come on, don't give up, buddy. Don't give up. You got to keep going. You got to keep trying. So, all right, here we go. I showed this a couple times. In light of the things that are going on right now, the things that are going on today, I think that this is something that, take a screenshot of this, crop it out, whatever, but take a screenshot of this, because any conversation about what we need to do and what is going to be successful has to understand and appreciate the significance of this image, because we have the power structure of the American regime, and people can debate over whether they think one is at the right level or not, or if another should be included. I've made the observation that it's extraordinarily tragic, and the antithesis of my model, this right here, would be the model of the modern Tower of Babel. That's what that would be. This is the Pyramid of Babel is what this is. And so with mine, you would have the church in there. Okay, you would have the church in there, and that's the way that would be. But this one lacks that, because it's the model for the city of man, not the city of God. And this right here, big tech, billion dollar corporation, Silicon Valley, the mainstream media, political NGOs, the FBI, CIA, other federal enforcement. Okay, both establishment parties, universities and academia, and of course the police. Okay, so any kind of enforcement mechanism like that. And so when we're talking about what we're going to do, you can see right now, in fact, this is brilliant, the way that it's playing out in a visual display, a really tangible way that if you turn on the news right now and you're seeing, or you go online, and I don't even encourage you, don't turn on the news. You don't need to deal with that. Go online, go on Telegram. That's where I go. I go on Telegram. I find some really great channels that I follow. For the majority, in fact, of the news that I get, they are hubs. So they bring in news from all different sources and stuff. And they'll show pictures and videos and everything of the scene right now in Washington, D.C. And you can see all of this play itself out. You can see the influence in 2020 with big tech, with the wild and radically unconstitutional means of censoring people. It was brutal. And it was in our faces. I mean, there's no more debate anymore. How long? It's been 4 years, right? Where people have been making the claim, and more than four for people like me. I've been talking about this for years and years, talking about the way that big tech censors people, and the way they shadow ban people, the way they play with it in the algorithm. You can see that by looking me up. You can see that by looking me up on different platforms and see how it works out. Even I post every single day in multiple different YouTube channels, on BitChute, on Rumble, and I have it set so that my Google account will notify me of any time that my name and anything is updated with either Jeremiah Bannister or Paleocrat Diaries, which would be, included. But the thing is, not even close. Not even close. And I've been doing this for months and months. Every single day, I'm saturating it. Okay? Not even close. Big tech. The billionaire corporation, Silicon Valley. Again, you're seeing the way that money has influenced these elections. I would include in that the big money in China. The big money in China, which might be part to do, maybe part to do with the handler that Biden's got now. Mainstream media. We saw what they do. We saw what they're doing right now. They want to get rid, they want to get rid of their competition. CNN especially, they are really bothered by the fact that they have competition that has beliefs that they don't personally hold. They're okay. They have no self-awareness, or they do, and they're just grotesquely malicious. which I'm open to that. I'm open to that being the case, that they know what they're all about, that these people, Brian Stelter and company, I mean, it's pure propaganda. So they know. Oliver Darcy, they know. Anderson Cooper, the whole gang. Same thing with MSNBC. Same thing with Fox News. Okay? Mainstream media. The way that that's played. The way that Fox News, and they're feeling it, man. They all are. They all are. CNN has lost, have they lost it officially where they're no longer even in all of the airports? Didn't they lose contracts with that, by the way? Wasn't that a primary base of viewership? Were all the airports everywhere? Political NGOs, the FBI, CIA, other federal enforcement. You see this on full display. People used to say, well, the FBI is good, or the CIA is awesome. They're really patriotic people. And I'm like, you guys are normies. You don't even know what you're talking about. You watch stuff like Sean Hannity, and you hear Sean Hannity every single day say the same crap, where he'll say stuff like, well, they're all a bunch of patriots, and it's only a few bad apples. No, it's not. And you want to know how you can know? Because where were the whistleblowers in that? Where were they during Russiagate? Where were they? Crossfire Hurricane, where were they? Where were they in almost any of these things? It's a few good apples by the look of it. By the look of it, the shenanigans going on with the CIA trying to tell analysts to downplay the influence of China in the election. That's amazing, by the way. Both establishment parties, we saw this. We've known this for a long time. That's why we call them the Uniparty, the Republicrats, right? That's why we call them that, because they have that mutual interest. They're both part of the Pyramid of Babel. They're both part of that. They understand how power works, and they've established it. It is theirs. It's theirs to lose. Now they've made some terrible decisions. Look recently, how about this one? This is another reason. And this is another reason to doubt that the future is going to be better, even with Trump. The best is yet to come crap. Is that you sit there and you say, Julian Assange, man. Julian Assange. What has happened to Julian Assange is absolutely grotesquely offensive. Royally offensive. And in fact, I have published things that are based on leaks. I've published things. I've had stuff. People have lost jobs because of me. Because of my work. I did reporting on the police department. I had an insider that was leaking stuff. I had a person working with me down in Battle Creek leaking stuff, and I was the publisher. I was the website. The name of the .us that I was with, it was mine. That was on the videos that were being played on the news. That came from the same means. The same means. So if that's wrong, and what he's done is wrong, then what protection do any other journalists have? You're going to be in the world where, of course, they're going to make an exception for the establishment media, for the mainstream media, because that's where you get in the world of, Brzezinski. You get in the world of Brzezinski. You get in the world of Cuomo. Cuomo goes on CNN and says people don't have the right to look at any of the documents from the WikiLeaks. That's the role and responsibility of the press. Apparently, there's some serious cognitive dissonance going on there, because Brian Stelter on the exact same network was talking about how the responsibility to investigate this sort of thing doesn't fall at their feet. That's not the work of the journalist. I'm like, dude, you suck at journalism, homie. Cuomo sucks at journalism. They're really good at propaganda. They suck at journalism. They're actors, man. And so these guys, they say, you're not allowed to look. We're there to look. We're there to give you the news. We're there to decipher this stuff. We're there to investigate this. And then, of course, revealing that that's not their job either. There's the major conflict, I guess. But then you got Mika from All Morning Joe. You got Brzezinski. And she's sitting there, and she just flat out says that the messaging, the idea, who controls the way that Americans think, flat out. She doesn't even hide from it because she believes it. Chalk it up as a slip. Maybe she didn't mean to quite frame it that way, but you want to know what? It's exactly what she believes. That's our job, to control what people think and what people see. Universities and academia. You see this with the way that different studies have been withheld. And now we've got the one from Stanford. Lo and I think is it Stanford, right? Lo and behold, oh, look at that. Apparently lockdowns, and remember, they said that lockdowns did not flatten the curve anymore. It was no more beneficial. In fact, maybe more harmful than just simply having social distancing with masks and washing your hands. If you remember, I showed on this program leaks. Was it the World Health Organization? Where they specifically went against lockdowns. They were opposed to it. And then after people began to expose that on independent media, once that started happening, then they said, yeah, it hasn't been our primary tool. That's not what you guys were saying. We've got the leaks from an insider. But months and months and months go by. People lose their jobs. Kids have committed suicide. And what did I say early on? I said, there will be blood. You can't, there's no free lunch here. If people think that we can make it so that your dreams, your jobs, your homes, your churches, your schools, your livelihood, and maybe even the very lives of you or your family, young kids blowing their faces off, that sort of thing, and you think for a second that you're not going to have people who just, and it's over, you think that's not real, you're in freaking Candyland. You are in Candyland. You're not even in reality. You are a danger, not only to yourself, but to everyone around you. Everybody. You are a dangerous person, a maniac, a sociopath. You're completely out of your freaking mind because that right there, those mechanisms, those controls, those rules and those regulations, protocols, and the crappy logic you used, and the way that you made it so that it was enforced. Arresting people standing outside, singing hymns, peeking into synagogues with your cameras, not letting people bury their own parents. And you think, oh, it's just a free lunch. Man, you better, I'm sorry to tell you. I've said it from the beginning. I said, this is the worst thing. You do not want that. You do not want that. I'm not sitting here saying, go get them. I'm saying that if you don't think that somebody is going to do that, then you are out of your mind. You are not in reality, and you need to get out of freaking office because you're scaring everybody around you. And in the end, I'm sorry, you will get your cake. I don't know what to tell you. Imagine if I said that, because I could get in trouble, but people could say, oh man, he's supporting violence. No, I'm saying you can't do certain things and assume that people, individuals, are not going to react in ways that are not necessarily the wisest in the world and may result in violence. That's why we have jails, man. That's why we've got jails. It's why we have police. And it's why we have limits on what politicians are able to do. And you know what? The thing is, it's just going to get worse and worse and worse. And the police, people are going to turn on the police. They already have. Look, I no longer even talk about Blue Lives Matter. If somebody tried chanting that, if I was in a get-together or rally and people started chanting that, dude, I'd keep zip the lip, bro. No offense to the police officers who are doing their job. I'm grateful for that. Maybe they should reconsider certain things. Maybe they shouldn't be sitting in parking lots trying to track if people are going over the speed limit. Maybe they need to focus more on the actual violent crime. And maybe instead of taking a knee, they should begin to go out and start to deal with serious problems where people are burning buildings to the ground, smashing windows in, beating the snot out of people because they're white. You don't think that's happening? I've got so many videos that I could show you. It'd make your head spin. So don't give me this crap. You got to know that we're up for this. There are other platforms. It's not censorship. If you don't like it, make your own platform. Make your own phones. Build your own hosting network. Make your own international banking network. It's just going to get worse and worse. And the thing is, The people that talk that way, that are going to talk to you about the things that we're trying to do, number one, they may actually be right on some points. They may also be wrong that we, instead of trying to build our own network like this, why don't we simply go back to different kinds of networking? Why use their tools of dominion? Why do that? Why subject ourselves to their censorship? Why subject ourselves to their propaganda? Why? What do you benefit from that? If you go on Amazon Prime, for example, during the lockdown, you were inundated, completely inundated with commercials that were totally dystopic. They were constantly together apart. We're all in this together. The frontline heroes. Every single day, every 15 minutes, more and more and more, super scary, the creepy music. Kids looking outside windows, everybody's wearing masks. And they want to make it scarier. Think about it. Think about the commercials during the Christmas break. Santa Claus dying from COVID. The Black Lives Matter stuff. How many places did you go? Every social media platform, every single one, was dominated by it. And it's a self-fulfilled prophecy. They'll say things like, well, it's the critical cultural moment that we're in. And you go, you're actually fueling that, You're priming the pump on that. You can say there are a lot of people who believe in that. A lot of people don't. It's kind of like the idea when they go out and people are supporting Planned Parenthood. You look and you say, dude, it's always been a hovering 50-50 in this country. Oh, it just goes a little bit this way, a little bit that way, a little bit this way, a little bit that way. But you don't see that. You aren't seeing at the top of YouTube or the top of Prime or the top of any of these news channels. You're not seeing people inundated with a bunch of pro-life propaganda. You're not seeing it. And that's because it is not a tool of their dominion. It's all a political tool. And so we say, well, we're going to play the game on what they own. Get a new idea.
What's you got in the background?
And realize
He looks at him. Eye contact.
Oh, no. Sorry about that. I don't know what the music was in the background. But yeah, look at this. Okay, so this video, you're not just dealing with stuff that's out in the open. I want you to really look at this. I want you to look at this, and I want you to ask yourself, what's up with that? Check this out. So Mitch McConnell, this right here is the impeachment. Dun-dun. Dun-dun. Yeah. I don't know what kind of hand signals these cats are doing. Not entirely sure. But we have to understand that we're dealing with a cabal. We're dealing with people who for a long time have operated in two spheres, one of them visible and one of them very, very secretive. It's not always the same engine. There are some people right now who talk about Freemasonry. And they'll say, well, the Freemasons, they do this and that. And I say, vehicles change. It's kind of like the Illuminati. The Illuminati, as it was in the past, they illuminated the Freemasonry. They essentially took it over, right? As a vehicle. And that vehicle was important because it served a function and a purpose. But now you don't have to do that. You could be part of the groups that meet secretly at places like Bohemian Grove with a massive statue to Moloch, the guy, the demonic entity from the Bible, 30 foot tall. Political leaders go there. Newt Gingrich, George H.W., George W. Bush. These people go there. There's a bunch of fruity crap going on there too. Fruity, big time fruity, including that Eyes Wide Shut ceremony. If you haven't seen it and you don't know what I'm talking about, you got to go watch. And they may not even be doing that too much anymore. That might be something that's meant for people like David Gergen. He was outed by Alex Jones. Alex Jones went up to him, talked to him. That guy, man, you want to talk about a guy getting mad. You took the understanding. You took the understanding. You violated. What do you mean you took the understanding? What does that mean? Is it an oath? Is it a self-maledictory one? You got Bilderberg. They used to hide that. They don't hide it anymore. Well, they do, but not the same, because now we all know that it's there. So there's different ways that these groups even communicate. They don't need the exact same vehicle. Some of them, like everything else in the world, loses its potency. It has a life cycle. But the idea remains, and that is that they're still doing things in secret. If you don't think that big tech is colluding secretly, you're out to lunch. They say it over and over and over. Oh, yeah, we're not colluding. Give me a break, dude. Give me a break. Thank God there's whistleblowers over there, too, by the way. But we got to see what do they really believe is going on here? And how scared are they? How scared are they when what happened on January 6th, when that happened, okay? There were images of people in Congress absolutely terrified, hiding, shaken out of their boots. And again, do these people not know history at all? Don't they? If you have an approval rating under 10%, and that a country has hated you for a long time, and it's only gotten worse to the point where it wasn't as if you were just simply being used by the powers that be, but you're being used and guilt-tripped into doing what they want you to do at the same time as they're calling you terrorists who need to be reprogrammed. Maybe your kid's taken away. What do you expect? They don't understand humans because they've got this utopian scheme. They don't understand human nature. They don't care about history because they hate it. They believe that they're the pinnacle of progress. Those special elite people, those are the ones. History's been making its way all the way here, and finally we've reached this place of the American Congress. Yay! You can be just like them. Nancy Pelosi and Schumer and company. Man, they are McConnell. Those people, they are the pinnacle of human progress. Give me a break, man. These people, they don't get it. They can't see past the end of their nose. But you say, look at the fear, by the way. Pentagon has deployed hundreds of active duty troops for inauguration security, including service members with expertise in handling chemical, biological, nuclear, radiological, explosives, and medical teams skilled in trauma response, according to Politico. Holy cow. Holy cow. This is what they think of you. Maybe it's what they know. Maybe they sit there and say, look, it's gotten so bad. How do you stop it? And they don't want to recognize their own faults. They just want to sit. That's why they're using that top-down coercion that says, maybe we need to put them in camps. Maybe we need to take their kids from them. Maybe they need to be deprogrammed and re-educated. Because they don't recognize their fault. Because they're arrogant pricks that, again, cannot see past the end of their nose. They can't. Wicked people, by the way. Wicked people. If Trump cares about the movement he helped build, he should now go away. This is actually back on January 8th. Donald Trump, the wrecking ball, was much needed and tremendously successful. But it's imperative for our nascent movement prospects that President Trump go away after January 20th. I know there will be people who disagree. What do you think, by the way? Do you think he should stick around? Do you think it's a benefit? And in what way? If he was able to say, maybe I should defend the people that defended me, the people that stood up for me against terrible odds, the people that drove a long way to support him and to let the world know that they support him and that they don't stand for this. He threw them under the bus, period. End of it. You know how many leaders I know who say, look, we're really grateful for all you did, but you literally pulled your pants down and took a dump on every single person who supported you. And what did he do? Who did he give pardons to? Some real sickos, by the way. Messed up people, by the way. Treacherous people, by the way. And some of them just, what are you thinking? Why do this? He's under, and this is where, interestingly enough, the man of action does not understand or appreciate the spirit of the age. He doesn't get it because he's still under the impression that it's economics. So are so many people. They're like, well, look, you got jobs. They're really confused as to why a lot of black people didn't support Donald Trump. They'll take the crumbs. They'll say, well, it's more than normal. More than normal, more than any other Republican. Who cares? Look at the investment into the idea that it was, you know what, you got a job. That's what's going to win the day. But that's over. They don't understand. He's not even getting where we are in the cycle, the death spiral of a culture, of a high culture. He doesn't understand that. His staff doesn't understand it. They're sitting there saying, well, we need to put out this idea of this economic policy and this economic policy because if people have a job and they have money, they're going to love you. Maybe back in the day, it doesn't work the same. And that's why people are beating their head against the wall. And when I saw those promos and those ads that were, and the apologists for the campaign that were constantly emphasizing economics to these people, I said, you guys have missed the boat. You don't understand it. You don't understand where we are. You saw inklings of it. The opposition, by the way, to critical race theory. A little too late, but you saw the inklings. Same thing with the curriculum, the idea of advancing the curriculum. But missed the boat on his own constituency. Missed the boat. And so you sit there and you're like, look, it's a tough deal. It's a tough deal. What should you do? Is he going to help with the advancement of Christendom 2.0? I don't believe so. He was an icebreaker. What was the image, by the way? I hope you guys can at least appreciate my consistency. The idea that I called him an icebreaker. I said he's like that big boat that crushes through sheets of ice. And that way it makes it so that supply ships can make their way through. Battleships can make their way through. And I said they get beat up. They're hard. They're crashing through. They take a beating. But they make it possible, right? And I said, that right there is Donald Trump. I said it at my speech that I did at the rally at Lansing. The one that has been censored now. The one I'm glad I've got it on my own device, but it's been censored. I got to put it up on BitChute or somewhere else. The election of Trump in 2016 was a well-deserved wrecking ball, or icebreaker, to the cobwebbed pieties of conservatism, Inc., and the dripping disdain with which the GOP's libertarian-oriented donor class deigned to look at its more populist voting base. It activated us, didn't it? The Johnny Q's and the Sally Sue's. Only Trump, the exotic and iconoclastic real estate magnate who rose to prominence wholly outside Conservatism, Inc.'s formative institutions, was able to break through the staleness and more authentically stand with Republican voters on issues like immigration, trade, and foreign policy. True. But while the Trump phenomenon was a salutary earthquake, forcing conservatives to retire their bromides and reconsider the difference between timeless principles and prudential policies, the 45th president largely failed to leave a constructive, substantive, forward-looking conservative agenda in his wake. Part of that's because it's populist. Part of that's because it's reactionary. That's why I'm sitting there saying it's a vehicle, man. It's one of the vehicles for the one thing in the world that doesn't have an end. The one thing in the world with the conductor at the helm who isn't just going to win, but is going to win because at the end of the day, he has all power and all authority in heaven and on earth. kingdom without end. And so you look at it. You look at it, you say, okay, so what's the agenda? What's the long-term agenda? If people talk to me and say jobs, 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 I'm like, dude, the 90s, they're calling. They really want your, ideas back. It's essential. It's essential, especially the idea of bringing those jobs back home. And there was a lot of stuff done with that, by the way. I'm not meaning to kick a person when he's down. Look at all of the amazing things that were done. I defended them effectively. You can see, if you want to see, watch me again, Dogma Debate with David Smalley. Watch me, Meaning of Catholic with Timothy Flanders. We talk about it. I make the case. At the same time, you got to sit there and say, what kind of agenda is actually in place? You have a lot of people. A lot of people are really excited about running for office now. They want to get involved. I have more questions about being a delegate than ever before. But they still haven't even gotten to the place where they have a good understanding, where they've grappled with the notion of power, hierarchy, authority. Their worldview, in fact, is antithetical to it. So they're doing the very thing they hate. They call it a necessary evil. I don't believe that is any more necessary of an evil than the church or the family. I don't believe that. I believe it's organic. And I think if we look at it that way, those who do, you look at the history of it and you can see the rise and the fall and say, look, the people who accept it as it is and say that organic entity has been given the symbol of the sword, just like the church was given the symbol of the keys, just like the parents were given the symbol of the rod, just like all of those things, the state has a role to play, and not just simply as a necessary evil. But if conservative people, if they can't even grapple with that most basic fact, then it's an awfully strange thing that so many are going to want to aspire to it. And it's unsurprising that once they get there, they don't know how to handle a swamp. And LARPing like you're Donald Trump ain't going to do it. We have to actually take our time. We have to take a breath. We have to distance ourselves from the icebreaker and realize that icebreaker was essential, made it through. But might not be the very thing to be, leading the army in warrior, because at this point, as you can see on TV, as you can see on the internet, with all the images, if you don't think that we're there right now, I've been saying it from day one of the show. Day one, it's been a theme of this, that we have to understand that we are already in this place. It doesn't take a declaration. Many times a declaration is an afterthought, that something has already happened and that already created conditions that fit the mold, and it's just an official recognition of it. And in some ways, that's old-fashioned. That's like talking about, well, the drummer hasn't come out and started drumming with the guy with the flute. But he said this is hardly Trump's fault. Far too many administration officials and GOP poobahs remained wedded to the dead consensus. You're going to see this pop up. You're going to see this pop up with Conservative Inc. And that's why I'm not afraid to go against people like Shapiro. People like Charlie Kirk. It's obvious that they want the kingdom of man. And they know how to ride that wave. They know how to play that game. They're not as dumb as David French. In any event, it's hardly incumbent upon the president to play a role of egghead policy wonk. Totally true. Who's going to be the policy wonks? Will you? Will I? Or, I'm confident that I've got a role to play. I told a friend of mine recently. We were talking. And, because she's doing amazing political things. In fact, I'll talk about it tomorrow. I'll show some clips and stuff of a recent interaction. Right? And so pretty awesome. And an amazing person. But I said, you need to have a number of things in place when dealing with this. And I understand how it works. I understand the system. I understand having ideas in your mind and on your tongue, but having realism in your actions. Your hands and your feet, to realize that is how it's played. And that you got to deal with who you brought or who brought you. You got to do it. And to sit there and say, we need to actually have a plan. If people just say, well, I want to get in there right now, I'm going to aspire to that, I'd say, that's a great aspiration. What have you done? What have you actually put forward? And if you're in the world of Mr. Smith goes to Washington, good luck with that. There's a reason it's Hollywood. Fortunately, there now exists a sprawling network of intellectual and media institutions dedicated to fleshing out this new right agenda. That's the Thunderdome. You're tuned in right now to part of that. We are one of those, we are part of that sprawling network of intellectual and media institutions that are dedicated to this. It's not just fleshing out, it's going to be battling it out. It's going to be a rough and tumble. One that is more prudential and less wedded to abstract dogmatism. That's what I'm saying. I said, look, I just said it. The idea of realism in your hands and feet. Not so into the abstract all the time. That's why you're seeing the influence of debates, and even the forum of that has kind of taken a seat, and why we saw the evidence, what I said, is a fruit of an underlying thing happening in this age that says all talk, no action, that's a bad thing. And what they're saying is we want action, not so much talky talk. Which is why even I got involved. I used to be totally opposed to it and say, well, no, I just simply talk into a microphone. Now I'm actually involved with people. I talk with people behind the scenes who are trying to run for different levels in political office, trying to do different events and organizing events. I'm involved in that now. For me, it's a blend of talking and action. But understanding that if I'm just, my dad used to use a phrase, and he didn't mean it in a bad way, but it was a criticism. He said, sometimes, Jeremiah, you're so heavenly minded that you're no earthly good. I think that's true for a lot of people. It was true of me. The idea that you're so abstract. You've got these lofty thoughts. You're splitting hairs of a bald man all the time. And people are just like, dude, what are you going to do? How does that hit the road? How does that apply to me? We do that here, don't we? To talk about not just the situation, but what applies to you. I've told you books to read. I've given you books to read. I've talked about events people can be part of. I've talked about where to go if you don't like the censorship. I've talked about going back to previous tech and making that disciplined decision to go back, to press escape, to turn back that clock. And not just to tell you to do it. And not just to put it in a meme, but to flesh it out so that you understand it in a way that is easy to grasp and easy to explain to other people. And I come and I do it every single weekday. I like this. It's time for conservatives who will spend the next 4 years in exile to cultivate a constructive governing agenda. Yes. I not only want to be part of it, I can tell you right now, I already am. I already am. Already part of it. And you're going to see, just like you've seen the progress so far made on the show, the progress where it gets better and better and better, smoother and smoother and smoother, where it gets to that place, where it's expanding and expanding to the point where it's difficult to do on your own anymore. It's been a one-man mariachi band for a long time. It's getting to that place where it just simply can't be. And you're seeing that progress. Part of that development, part of that expansion, part of that explosive growth is saying that these aren't just ideas that are being blasted out over 20 different channels across 5 different platforms live and more afterward. It's not just that. It's saying that we're going to take these ideas and apply them no matter where we are. If you're a regular person doing regular stuff, if you're an extraordinary person doing extraordinary things, it doesn't matter. It applies, and it's a way that says this is a structure. This is a system. This is a worldview. It is consistent. Policies and platforms and principles that are consistent. Not that dissonance, that are realistic and yet at the same time lofty enough that it's pushing you forward. With an appreciation for the democracy of the dead, those who've come before you, your ancestors, but also for the present and the moment that you're in, that you've been created for, as well as the future that you're trying to achieve, and seeing these things in a symphony. That is what I spin on this show. That is the web that is spun on this program 5 days a week. This isn't fly-by crap. We're not talking about plucking little branches, pruning little trees. We're talking about whether or not we need to uproot that bugger. We're talking about what we need to do and where we need to go and how we need to get there. And why we got to let go of certain idols. We got to smash them buggers. We got to annihilate the demons. We got to smash down the idols. And we got to slay the sacred cows. And we got to get those things. There are certain things. There's a term for it for writers, where they write a book and there's something that they really like about it. But the editor and the beta readers and stuff, when they go through and talk about it, it's like a sacred cow. Like they don't want to let go of this darling. They don't want to let go of it. It's like, no, I really want that, even if it doesn't work, because they're not willing to make those hard decisions, and they feel that if they have to make that hard decision, then they are betraying the past. It's not right. Because all those people in the past, when they did the amazing things that we're looking at them for doing, were doing the same thing that we're talking about right now. Or did we forget we had an Articles of Confederation? Like, that's a big conversation, by the way. And when people talk about maybe we need to break up the country into 3 pieces, 4 different countries, I've heard people on the right talk about that. I'm open to the idea. Is it regionalism? Is that the technical term for it? Talking about that idea and say, look, if that's the case, if you think that it's going to remain under the Constitution as it is, you're out to lunch. But even the founders had to deal with that. And there was real contention, wasn't there? We have books filled with papers, differing opinions. The Federalists and the Anti-Federalists. We also have winners and losers. We also have something to look at and say, maybe the Anti-Federalists were onto a couple things. Or maybe the Federalists had too much optimism in certain things too. Or didn't have the foresight, for example. John Jay, did he have the foresight to realize what technology and travel, the impact of technology upon travel and migration, and how that, the impact of increased migration, what that would have on the roots that he saw as what makes this nation great. This idea that we have common ancestors, common heroes, a common language, common traditions, common religion, that these things were dominant. Did he not have the foresight? And if he didn't have the foresight, what do? This is going to be debated. People may not like it. This is going to be debated. And it's just beginning. But these are some stuff we could do. Got not very much left here. Only a couple. Got I guess a video here. So one thing we can do, and one thing we emphasize on this show, is get away from this. The way that people are stuck. The way that people are stuck in the technocratic regime. I've actually got there's a song playing in the background apparently. I don't want to get in trouble for that, but the idea that we can get away from it, that we can break free from it, that we can put ourselves in a place that says, look, let's recognize the tools of the world's dominion and recognize that it's not always the best idea to use those. It was a tool of dominion for the world to use astrology. Do you think we need to go and be like, oh, let's get really deep into some astrology now? Human sacrifice. A tool of dominion. Do we want to harness that bugger? What do we... Idolatry. Idolatry, and not just in a more abstract way, but I'm talking, the statues of false gods, that are given worship. That kind of a thing. You sit there and you say, that was a tool of dominion and control. Do we want to harness that? Or do we need to annihilate those things? Do we need to get rid of those things? Do we need to limit? What do we need to do? And we need to be really serious. If we're stuck in the same conversations that we've been about technocracy, technopoly in our lives, if we are stuck in that same conversation that we've been stuck in for years, I'm going to walk right past you. It's old, it's weak, and it's failed. I'll walk right past you. I cannot waste my time. This moment in this world is not there for that. I'm not going to sit there and have ridiculous conversations about has-been ideas or has-been tried ideas on how to deal with a menace. Has been tried and, has repeatedly failed. No. And I said this before, didn't I? I said that we need to get to the place where people are even using shame and saying, man, you're a slave, aren't you? You're a slave to that, dude. That's really bad. We need to treat it like a drug. Same thing with obesity. Same thing with technology. Same thing with so many of these different things that are in our lives. Same thing with porn. Oh, yeah, okay, hold on. I got to get off this, man. I got to show you guys this real quick. But I got to be able to read it. If you're anti-porn, what the F do you think about all day? This. Christ the King. That's what we think about. That's who we think about. He is the King. And it's the future. You gotta stop jerking it. You have to. I'm sorry to be crude about it. Men, you've got to stop. Women, you've got to think. Men and women, we have to think. Even thinking, and this is tough. And I know I'm going to get flack for this. Especially ladies, they take this especially personally, which is crazy to me. It's crazy to me, but men too. I'm not proposing something that we often see with Muslims. Okay, where you've got women who are dressed extremely modestly, right? They're completely covered, and the dude is basically wearing, one of those mankinis. I'm not proposing that. Look at the way that I dress. I believe that this is something that people need to do, that we need to show ourselves. Not just dress for success, but that to dress ourselves in such a way that even the symbol of who we are and what we do makes a line of demarcation between a man and a woman. The way we dress, the way we groom. We live in a world, people are complaining all the time, and they say, oh, look at the way that we live in a world where men aren't men anymore and women aren't women anymore, and men's testosterone's going down the toilet, and women are contracepting and aborting their children out of existence, and boys are getting their wieners cut off, and girls are getting their breasts removed, and people are saying that they're freaking furries and crap, and they're not willing they'll say it's sin, but they won't be willing to go any further than that. They look at perversion and they say it's because of, it's because of sin in somebody's life. And you go, but do you not understand the sin of scandal? A test. And I don't encourage anybody to do this, but be aware of yourself. Men and women, listen to a man. If a man says this and he's not being a douchebag trying to be just clubbing you over the head, obey. Listen to him speak from his heart. If you care about his well-being. And if Paul was willing to not eat meat, which is totally allowed, for him to not eat meat, lest it cause somebody to stumble, then this conversation should make sense. It should make sense. If you're to follow him like he followed Christ. Men, visually oriented people, correct? Correct? A man could be totally slimy and greasy and everything else, and he could see his wife walk in, and next thing you know, he wants to make a lot of babies. Constantly looking around. There's a different level of even caloric investment in the sexual act and reproduction. A woman is going to bear a child. That's going to have effects on her for quite a long time, not just physically, but emotionally and everything else. A man, a homeboy, could spread his seed all over the place. He doesn't have that same caloric investment. That's why we had certain degrees of shame for men who did that, and why we had certain ideas about protecting women. Protecting them from predatorial dudes who just want to be with the chick and leave. Expectations. These weren't nonsensical. Tradition doesn't work this way. So you sit there and you go, okay, well, what are you getting at, Jeremiah? When we're talking about conversations like this, and this is just one example. I'm just giving this as an example. You can disagree with me. I don't care. But look into, if you have two women standing side by side and a man, and just the average guy, the average Joe is behind them, and one of them is wearing a pair of jeans and another one is wearing a dress, where is the eyeball going to go first? There are studies on this. Would it surprise you if I said the booty? Would that actually surprise you, or would you go, oh, figures? But these are conversations, and look, I'm not here to debate this right now. It's already after time. My whole point is to have conversations about where we need to go or how we got where we are. We're going to need to get beyond the level of just simply saying, well, it's sin. You're going to need, and we're going to need to be able to analyze this and to do some kind of a diagnostic that says, all right, this is the anatomy of that sin. This is the makeup and blueprint of how this works, not only within the person, but within groups, and how it's affected society at large. How do we combat things like pornography addiction? How do we do that? We're going to see so many impotent men, by the way, tons. They're already struggling to have any kids. Testosterone's just, and sperm count way down. Way down. And if you think that that's not a tool of dominion for the enemy, you're out of your mind. Same thing with birth control. I know there's a lot of listeners listening to the show are like, well, that's a Catholic distinctive. And I'd say it wasn't always that. A lot of the Protestant churches began to accept that around the same time that they began accepting Freemasons. I'm sorry to tell you. But this is not just a physical war, and this is the end here. This is not just a physical war. We're dealing with physical things. There's no doubt about that. At the same time, I was all little over there. I had my mini-me on there. At the same time, we are in a spiritual war. So our connection to the divine is the greatest weapon. And when we talk about our connection to the divine, we're lucky, aren't we? We're fortunate. It's providential, in fact, that we're at a place where people are even becoming skeptical of the institutions themselves and the leaders. And they're saying, look, there's got to be a point where we start tightening our belts again and demanding some kind of discipline. Bring the Inquisitions back. Because we're being inquired upon right now. And the churches don't care. So what do? Tradition. We need to fall back on tradition, authority, hierarchy. Because the way that every high culture, unless we think we're an anomaly, we're the first, we're gonna be different. We followed every single pattern of every high culture that's ever existed from its rise to demise. But we're gonna be different, trust me. If we accept that we will not be different, authority and hierarchy win. That is where it continues. And we're seeing the debate in that, even with this, because the left and the Democrats right now, they believe that this was not normal, that this doesn't have precedent, that this is a foreign intrusion. The whole frame is that it's foreign to the American experience, that this is not normal. And they don't even want to go back to the old normal. This is the dissonance. They don't want to go back to the old normal but yet they're presenting themselves as a return to the old normal. Because that's where the concept of authority would be, hierarchy would be, order and structure would be, predictability, enforcement, the ability to enforce, all of these things. We have to recognize that. And if we don't, we're toast. We're completely toast. And that's the last one right here. It's over. Man cannot remake himself without suffering, for he is both the marble and the sculptor. It's not easy, by the way. It's not easy to tell, no matter what we're going to do, and people can disagree with my prescription and say, look, I don't agree with you on clothing. I don't agree with you on contraception. I think you're wrong. And we'll debate it. I think you're wrong. But at the same time, the one thing that I hope we all recognize in this is that we are at a pivotal place where paradigms are shifting. It's a changing of the guard. It is a crisis point in our nation's history. And that whatever we end up doing is going to require suffering. It's going to require it. And not just from the outside, but from the inside to say, I am going to change my life. I am going to stop being a fat freaking slob. I'm going to stop being lazy. I'm going to stop being a slave to various addictions. I'm going to stop being a puppet to the New World Order because I'm constantly staring at a screen. I'm going to get outside, for crying out loud. I'm going to raise my children right and be part of their life again. I'm going to read a freaking book. I'm going to go back to many of the things that made America great, that made the church great, and that make what's going on now so freaking evil. Escape to go back. I told you it was over. I knew this was coming. I knew it was coming. It's okay. It's okay. Let me go ahead and call up my wife. I don't know if she's watching. She should be. She should be watching. I never know. I never know. And remember, if you posted comments, we're going to go through these comments later. I'll go through those comments. We're going to go ahead and put them up and respond to them. That I'm going to post the video of, we did some clips today, a highlight reel. We did that today. Are they sleeping? Oh, they're both sleeping. Yeah, well, my wife can come over here. You got to get down here, though. You got to get down here. What's that? It's squats. Why don't you sit on my lap? What are you talking about? You gotta sit on Papa Bear's lap. Look at this. Yeah. That's what I'm talking about, boys. So all right here. Oh, you gotta get in that screen. Get in there. Okay. All right. There we go. Rah. All right. I'm gonna pull it way over here. I'm pulling it way over here. All right, here we go. Let's see here. Do. I love you guys. I hope you have a happy January 20th. I hope that you realize that this is an awesome time to be alive, in fact. No matter how scary it is, no matter how frustrating it is, it's an amazing time. And you are an amazing person. And this is an amazing show. We're made for a time just like this. And if you want to keep on the ball with this, keep tuning in. We're going to be on it every single weekday. Monday through Friday, same thing, about 11 to 1. Sometimes it'll go over, like today. It's okay. Right? Paleocratdiaries.com. Make sure to go there. You can subscribe or become a member. It's only $5 a month. Find our Zazzle store, Zazzle. Find the Zazzle store. It'll be connected to the website soon. But go there, check out all the different things we've got. Sweatshirts, cups, keychains, stickers, magnets, whole 9 yards. Whole bunch of fun. If you want to connect with us for interviews, I had a couple people reach out. You can do that, paleocratdiaries@gmail.com. Make sure to go check out our Telegram channel, as well as Paleo Cheese Podcast and Meaning of Catholic. So until next time, as we do every single day, we salute you, and we say, never give up, keep on smiling, and memento mori. If I don't talk into microphones, I don't make that mad cash. Making all that money. Making that mad loot, right?
Mind control. So we see the minority elite imposing their ideology on an unwilling and resentful populace. This causes a backlash. People get ticked off. The left is working long and hard to make us feel as if we've done something wrong. Worse yet, that we are the problem. Don't let people just rip on your heritage. Don't let people just rip on your traditions. Don't let people rip on your heroes. Stand up for what you believe, what made you who you are. So unless this disenfranchised majority begins standing up for what they believe in their heart of hearts to be true, I think we'd be left with nothing more than a dirge and maybe a funeral procession.